3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
What's going on, y'all? This is DeAndre Williams. I just wanted to give a quick testimony about the services that I've been receiving from Ernie Kaysen and Married Into Crazy. It's amazing. They provide everything I need, and it's helped me transition to another level in my business. So if you're out there, reach out to Ernie Kaysen and Married Into Crazy, and they will provide great service.
Welcome to episode 125 of the Married Into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And as always, I'd like to welcome everybody back to the podcast. As you know, we release new podcasts every single Wednesday. With this being 125, we've been in the game since 2018 when it comes to podcasting, but we have been married for 24 plus years now.
Yeah. 24 in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Something like that.
24 years and 2 weeks.
Yeah, literally.
That still qualifies as a plus.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Inching our way towards that 25. What is the 25 year? What is that? Like
silver.
Is that silver?
I think.
Does every year have like or is it just the big, like 5, 10,
you know
15,
what?
20?
I looked it up and it didn't say anything. I'm like, what is 24? 24?
24. Oh, you know what you get on the 24? Virus. You get coronavirus as part of the 20, at least ours.
No, you get a root canal.
Oh yeah, you got a root canal. All kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, so let me just share right quick. I'm feeling some kind of way. First of all, some kind of way is painful.
Oh wait, hold on. You're about to go in. Before she goes in.
Oh, sorry. I'm not gonna go in. I'm just gonna.
Oh no, you sound like you had some heat coming. So I just want to remind everyone to go to Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify or you're listening on Apple Podcast, please be sure to go and leave a review. Leave a review and some comments, good comments, and a rating. and because we love that. It increases the visibility of the podcast.
Or something like
that. There you go. The discoverability of the podcast. So we can actually bring more and more individuals into the conversation. Mm-hmm. Conversation's always better when we have more and more individuals. And we love that we're in 36 countries, that we've got the ears of individuals that are interested in actually building their relationships. But we also want to make sure that we're addressing the needs of everyone that's out there and listening as well. So the only way we're going to know that is if you leave a review, if you contact us at snooksandlovey@gmail.com, or also at coaching@marriedintocrazy.com. Any of those ways, let us know how we're doing. Let us know some of your thoughts. If you enjoyed it, let us know. If you didn't, keep it to yourself. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I was just going to say, so lessons learned. So I just, like I said, I had a root canal done last week and I'm feeling some kind of way besides the painfulness, but I feel some kind of way because we are very regiment in our checkups, right?
Right.
And
here it comes.
I'm just saying, I have not had any cavities in I don't know how many years, what have you. So I go in December and I felt like something was missing, got my cleaning and everything. Dennis came in, he checked, but I don't know if I was tripping. Now I know I wasn't tripping, but I told Lovey when I got home, I'm like, I felt like he kind of rushed my appointment, and I think you agreed that
I did. I felt the same way.
Like you felt the same way. So 3 weeks later, not even 3 weeks. Yeah, about 3 weeks later, I'm starting to have pain on my right side. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Never had this before. So I called and I was like, yeah, I'm having some pain. They're like, okay, come in. They did an x-ray. Why you come in and say, oh, you need a root canal? I was like, a root canal? How I go from having no cavity to all of a sudden I have a root canal? I need to have a root canal.
Did you just get some x-rays?
That part. So I was like, okay, so when something is bothering me, it just sits on me. And so she could the lady in the front, she could kind of tell that I kind of had a little bit of attitude. And so I was like, I'm just kind of wondering, how do you go from no cavities to a root canal? And then I'm back thinking back on it. So did he actually tell me I didn't have any cavities, or did he just not look?
Mm.
So here we go. So I go in and he goes, I don't like getting shots. I don't think anyone does in my mouth. And so he puts the goopy stuff in to numb it. And I was like, okay, so with the shot, he's like, okay, you'll be fine. Don't tell me I'm gonna be fine. Do not disregard how I'm feeling right now. And then he gave me the Novocaine, and then I got another shot of it. My heart starts racing. I was like, honey, call my husband because I think I'm gonna have a heart attack or something.
Okay, let me jump in. So I'm working. I'm out in the field. All of a sudden, my phone starts blowing. I get a text from Snooks talking about, first off, she was mad. You know how you can just tell when somebody's angry texting? And she sent this text talking about, he gave me a shot and it's not working. And then it was, my nose and my eye are numb.
Oh my God. Okay. So I've never in my life had Novocaine that numbed my nose and my eyelids, my eyes. I was like, what in the heck? I didn't say heck. I was thinking a different word. What in the heck is going on? And so my nose starts running like, and I'm like, where's the tissue? I could barely talk. And I'm texting Lovey. I was like, the guy was like, the technician, he was like, are you okay? I said, no. No.
Wait, she took a picture.
Because it looked like my face was swollen. I mean, of course it feels like that, but I promise you, it felt like the Novocaine was just sitting right there. I was like, I'm not even gonna be able to drive home because my eyes finna just blow up and explode or something crazy.
So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you know what, let me get in a position to where I can go pick this girl up if I need to. But I was making sure that I didn't do any. I thought I was very nice when I text back because I wanted to say, calm your butt down.
He did say, he said, calm down.
But I did. I said, calm down. I said, calm down. It happens to me as well. I try to add some commentary.
Were you lying? Because has that ever happened to you before? I've never had that happen.
Not my eyelid, but my nose.
Ever. And I was like, he gave me too much. He just poisoned me.
Our dentist is not trying to poison you.
Oh my God. So then now I'm all sore. And he was like, oh, you're such a trooper. This and that. I was like, just can you just hurry up? I don't want to chit chat. Just don't talk. Just get it over with. And it was the day of the inauguration. So it was playing in the background. He gonna turn around. You better not turn around and try to look. You better hurry up so I can get out of here.
It's like, I don't care who's going to that White House. You about to get kicked out of this house.
Ooh, good Lord. So I go back this week to get my crown. My mouth is still bothering me. You would think I lost weight or something but I haven't. I've just been finding cake because I can eat cake.
She's eating all the soft stuff. And I have to apologize. Last night I was like, oh, you know what? It's a lazy night. We're not going to do any cooking.
Oh,
whatever.
My gosh.
I texted the family, like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get some pizza. Not even thinking about how she cannot chew.
No one cares about me in my house. No one cares about me. And I just like, really, pizza? For real? So it took me 15 minutes to eat one slice of pizza.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I had to take all this stuff off. And so I'm trying to eat just on one side. Oh, good Lord.
All right.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into, but before we jump in, I just want to remind everybody that this upcoming weekend, January 30th, so it's Wednesday when you're hearing this, at least when it's available. But on January 30th, Saturday, is the very first Married into Crazy communication workshop of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's the first one of the new year. And so there's still time for you to go ahead and register. Go ahead and look at this show notes and you'll see a link, but you can go directly to marriedintocrazy.com. And right there, you'll see a button that says register here for the workshop. So go ahead and do that. And we'd love to see you. So not only are you going to get to learn how to be crazy in your relationship and get some background on that, but you're also going to receive a link so you can actually do your DISC assessment, and then you'll have the abbreviated results so you can have that for the actual workshop itself and get an introduction, if you will, into the world of DISC and starting to understand your personality and why you do the things you do. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and jump in.
Okay, so this kind of just came up to me, not this did, but I was having a conversation with someone, and she mentioned about, we were kind of talking about just, getting back together, our story,
Oh, right, right,
Lovey's
right.
story and my story. And her and her husband are going through something similar, as far as she's ready to bounce, and he's kind of,
Why is it always the lady that's ready to bounce?
well, stop doing stuff to make us want to bounce.
Okay.
He said, okay. Anyway, she's ready to go. She feels like he's not putting any effort into, um, he has not been putting any effort into the relationship. And I think, from what she's telling me, she said that it's like he saw that she was serious. And so he's like, oh, okay, I want to work it out. Let's work it out. And so she's like, I don't know that I can, I can do it. I don't know that I can go back to him. I mean, she hasn't left him, but I don't know if we could come back to each other, get back together.
So
And
emotionally, she's already disconnected.
yeah, because yeah, she's been kind of, it's like she's been begging, 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 let's do this, let's
Mm.
whatever. Um, and he hasn't been doing any of that. So she says she just didn't feel like she could continue in the relationship. And so I was like, well, our story, Levy and I was ready to go. I was out, and you know, Levy had an apartment, and so she goes, well, one thing that I know, you said that you guys were able to work through it. And I said, yeah, we were. And she goes, but you never talk about how you worked through it. I was
That's
like,
true.
well, I thought we did, because
Well, we
I
give.
said,
I'm
love,
sorry. Go ahead.
seriously?
My bad.
I said, well, I kind of thought we did. I said, we talked about how we started hanging out more, basically, and spending time together, and just having lunch, and just making time for each other. And she says, yeah, but how did you get to that point, to where you wanted to do that, make time for each other? How did you get past, or did she say over the hump? Or so I kind of knew exactly what she was talking about. So what were you going to say before
I don't even know.
I
Keep
cut you
going.
off? Well, before you cut me off and I
No, I
cut you
said.
back off again.
No, but I was thinking, yeah, to a certain extent, I thought we did go into it, but then we really didn't. We kind of tiptoed around it and talked, not really intentionally tiptoed around it, but we kind of gave like the 10,000 foot view. Like, and this is what we did. We went to lunch and we started dating again,
Mm.
but we didn't really talk about the steps, like I guess the nuts and bolts of how we actually got
I guess that maybe
to
that's
the
what
point
she's
of
talking
being able
about.
to sit down across from each other at a table in a public place without you trying to kill me.
Wow, really? That's what we're gonna say? I was never trying to kill you.
Well, I was gun shy to sit across the table from her at any restaurant after what I spent at our anniversary dinner for her to tell me that she wanted a divorce. But we're not going to go
Wow,
there.
really?
I might still need some therapy, but
Oh, here we go.
go
You still
on.
holding up? Why you bringing up old stuff?
That's what you brought up.
No, okay. So I did, one thing that for Levy and I feel like, in not just us, but any couple, you have to make a decision on what you're going to do.
Mhm.
The both of you have to be on the same page, because one person can't say, I want the relationship and I want it to work, and the other person not being honest, they just kind of go along with it, and it's just like you're just waiting till, like, the clock strikes 12 so you can say, well, I tried, I'm done,
But that
not really
happens.
putting any effort into it. So you have to both agree to either stay in it and work on it, or terminate it, because it has to be both of you.
But what if you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Kind of like what you kind of had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like you were
I
convicted.
was
There was conviction. God was telling you to stay and work on it, but yet you wanted out from an emotional,
I was ready to go.
selfish standpoint. Maybe not quite selfish,
Really?
but
I guess we got to go back to counseling.
but no, but I don't think you were 100% committed. You weren't all the way like, oh, okay, we'll do this.
No, I definitely was not. And I think that you knew that, even when we initially, the very first time that we went to counseling, I was just like, I'm here to sit in a chair to say that I did it. That's why I can say both people have to be on the same page and they both have to agree that we are going to be in this together and we're going to put the work in together. We're going to stay together while we do this, or we're going to have to break up.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I was on that, well, I'll just be here. And I thank God every single day that even when I was like, I ain't gonna do it, I'm just gonna be here. There was a shift at some point where I was like, okay, let's do it for real.
This is one of those parts where you hear people say, half the battle is just showing up.
That's true.
When it
That was for
comes,
me.
well, I think when it comes to couple counseling, I mean, again, as always, barring abuse.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
people don't hear that. Yeah, we have people that I know that listen to the podcast. I don't know that I could do that. What if so and so? And they start bringing up all these abusive
We were like, wait,
scenarios.
hold on.
I'm like, hold on, homie. I said barring abuse. Oh, I might not have heard that
I didn't get
part.
that part.
Like, so we're always saying barring abuse.
Mhm.
If you just show up and going, there's things that will kind of, I guess, work its way through your armor because we build up a wall, we build up armor around us,
Mhm.
right? You put on the suit of armor if you've been hurt or you felt slighted so many times. But I think just showing up, sometimes it'll work its way through as long as you go there. And you're not just going there and being argumentative, but you're just going.
Well, it's kind of like too working out. Let's just use that as an example. There have been many times where I was like, I'm gonna work out, and I never stepped foot in that game room. I put my clothes on, but I never go in there or I'll go in there and I'll be like, okay, I'll dilly dally or whatever it is that I do. But eventually, maybe not that day, it could be a week or however many days. Eventually, I started working out. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
you said, that's the show up part.
I think so. Well, a step further than that. I know there's times where I get dressed, I go in there and I'm like, I don't even feel like working out right now. I'm like, you know what? Even if I just do 10 good minutes of this 30 or this 45-minute workout,
Right.
I'll be good. I'll be happy with those 10 minutes.
I've done that too.
And I've started off was like kind of
Lackluster.
very lackluster, especially the boxing one. He's like, okay, punch, punch. And I'm like, man, I'm just
You're
swinging.
slapping.
I'm like, yeah, we slap boxing. I'm not even punching for real. No, but you start off kind of like you said, like half speed.
Mhm.
But then before I don't know, I don't even know if I consciously make the switch. It's just all of a sudden something happens. And next thing you know,
You're
you're drenched in
full-fledged
sweat and you're
into
full
it.
fledged going in. But the win was in just showing up. And then other things take place. And I think a lot of times when it comes to couple counseling, that's what happens. Even if it's individual counseling, when you know that you need to go in order to really build yourself up, to mend yourself so you can contribute to a relationship, just in going, things will happen. There will be growth. The problem with growth is that people don't like it.
Well, because it's uncomfortable.
It is. It's extremely uncomfortable. Oh, man,
Good job, Lovey. High five me.
no.
Five me.
And if you wonder what we're talking about, it's because I said comfortable. I pronounced every syllable. See, gentlemen, I just want to let you know that showing up sometimes, I said it's half the battle. That was a moment right there where if she figured if she said it enough times, I would eventually slip like I just did.
Wow, because you said it correctly.
Anyway, but no, but there's value in doing it, and that's part
Mhm.
of the nuts and bolts. Showing up.
Mhm. That's true.
And so what did you tell her
Well, I just told you what I told her. No, well,
as
like I
far as the other
said,
things that we did?
well, another big thing that we did for what that I did was I had to be willing to let go of some grudges, you know. So it's almost impossible to move forward in a relationship or reconnect or get past certain things if you're holding on to the grudges. I'm mad about something you did and I'm gonna stay mad about it. Oh yeah, we'll work on our relationship, but deep down inside in my head, I'm waiting for a good moment to where I could throw an uppercut. So I could, I want to throw that in. I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm keeping score about what you did or what you didn't do, previous fights that we've had. Uh, we can't move forward if I'm holding on to the grudges and the previous stuff. If we say we're going straight, I can't pivot and go backwards.
No, I agree, or off to the side. And it's one of those things where, and that grudge thing is so true. And I can't emphasize enough how you have to be willing to stop keeping score. Because when, for us at least, it was one of those things where, you know what, okay, there were so many things that had transpired, over the years, over those 4 years, that it almost felt like, okay, I'm going to do this to kind of offset that because I know she's still mad about that. And rather than just diving in, like, okay, how can I make today better? How can I be better today? And realistically, if you're focused on improvement in whatever shape or form that may be, for whatever your situation is, just focusing on that improvement doesn't allow you to keep score anymore because you're not focused on the slight or what you thought was a slight or what you thought was wrong or what they did to you or how they said something or how your in-law said something and they didn't stick up for you or whatever. When you start thinking, okay, well, how can I make today better? How can I be better? What can we do today to better our relationship? When you're focused on the betterment, it's hard to hold a grudge. It's like grudge and joy. Grudge, like discontent and joy can't inhabit the same space.
Mhm.
And you have to decide which one is it. If you're in your relationship and you want to work through things, you make that decision like, okay, well, let me at least give it another try. Let's figure this thing out. You can't hold on to those other things because again, it can't occupy the same space. If you seek joy in your relationship, then you got to focus on joy. What's it going to take to have that joy?
That's right.
Or are you seeking discontent and anger? And if that is, then hold on to your discontent and anger because joy will never coincide in that same place.
That's true. So I want to say something that you said. This kind of made me. It brought something to mind, and I hope that I get this. I hope I say it the right way. When you said about, oh, let me do this because I know she's still mad about that.
Okay.
So that sounds like you were compromising maybe the right thing to do just to appease me. Does that make sense?
Even if I didn't believe in it.
Yeah. So you're compromising your morals or your integrity, your values or whatever, just so um just to make me happy, or not even just to make me happy, but you're like, "Oh, I'll just do this because I know she's already mad about this
Mm.
other thing." Does that
It
make
does.
sense?
Yeah. Like you're thinking, okay, let me just go ahead and do this, so that because, she's going to be upset if I don't.
Or
I'm not
and it may
committed to it.
even be, it may not be something that you truly, like you say, you're not committed to it, or it may not even be something that you believe in. You're just going just to do it, just to appease me, but it's not something that you want to do.
It's not genuine. But don't you think that you would pick up on it?
No, but what my thing is like, when you start doing that, you'll continue to go down that road,
Okay.
and that's like it's fake
It's
and it's
fake. It's
false.
like a
It's like a,
facade.
yeah, it's exactly
It's like a fairy tale that you're creating. It's like this false
false sense of
reality.
security or
Yeah.
reality or something like that for me. And then I feel like you would eventually probably build up some resentment, which would in turn turn into a grudge, because you'll throw that in my face, that you did all these things, blah blah blah, for me, and I'm not doing, and you're
Right.
still mad at, and how come? And that would create a bigger problem also. So in doing that, that's the bad part of compromise. The good part of compromise that we also did, that we did do, was we compromised and we met in the middle. um like, we talked about things, we were very honest about the situations that had happened. And a lot of times people, I feel like, they think that you're not supposed to talk about what happened in all honesty. If you say, okay, I'm going to move forward, okay, so we just draw a line and then we go. That's good, but if you never ever address with all honesty the issue that happened and talk about it, and let's get it over with, or let me tell you how I felt about XYZ. I might continue to do the same stuff over and over again because I don't know that you feel this type of way about something that I'm doing. Does
So
that make sense?
it does. So let's give them a practical standpoint or a practical step. because we're talking about some of the things behind the scenes, like, okay, well, the feelings, if you will. But basically, what you're talking about is just ripping the band-aid off. And instead of tiptoeing around it, it never feels good when you rip the band-aid off, right? Because there's momentary pain, and we build up what that pain is going to feel like much more than what it truly is going to be. Same thing when it comes to, whatever the challenge may be in the relationship. And I'm not saying that one challenge is worse than another, because everybody has different levels of resiliency and things that they're willing to tolerate and things that they can work their way through. So it might be infidelity for one person, it might be lying for another person, it might be, financial stuff for somebody else. And it's just a variety of things.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is for you, but rather than tiptoe around it, like you said, create this false pretense of
Which is something that we did.
well, we did definitely.
Yeah.
It was, but it didn't work out, because she asked you, like, so what did you guys do? Really, what did you do? We ripped the band-aid off. We got to the point where we had to be basically, we took off the masks and had to be very transparent with
Mm-hmm.
feelings. You finally told me exactly how you felt about certain family members and how they made you feel. And more importantly, you told me how you felt about me because of what I did or didn't do in that process. It hurt. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it hurt like something else. Like, it hurt, and then it put me back on my heels. Like I had to be defensive.
Mm-hmm.
But then, in those moments, though, it was just there was clarity as well, to where, because of that immediate hurt and being on the defensive and coming, it's almost like going through a process, a series of steps.
Right.
But then I had to sit there and tell you, and I'll admit, at one point I was like, okay, well, yeah, well, you did this, and then then it was that, but it was reactionary, but in the same response, it was also truth, and we both needed to hear the truth, and what we were giving each other were half truths.
Mm-hmm. Trying to, I feel like, just to appease, to keep the peace, so that we didn't fight and we didn't argue, because we didn't want to have that type of household, I guess, where we're fighting and we're arguing. But if we're not getting the things out that we need to get out, then we're just living a lie, which
We were, to
we
a
were
certain extent.
living a yeah, to yeah.
And it's funny you said keeping the peace, and that phrase, I immediately think that keeping the peace under false pretenses destroys the ability,
Everything.
destroys the
Hmm.
opportunity for peace.
Hmm. Totally. So, but even in my speaking with you, I had to learn to trust that you were not going to
Hmm.
disregard what I had to say. I had to trust that you were going to hear me, and not just hear the words, but hear and feel the emotions behind the words. Sometimes we say things and just like, oh, she don't mean that. No, I needed you to hear and understand what I was saying. So it's not just in, it wasn't, the onus didn't just fall on you listening, it fell on how I communicated it to you also. I couldn't just come in and be like, look, homie, blah blah blah, whatever. I come in, have an attitude. We had to what what did Quest Green, what he talks about, humility, vulnerability, and maturity.
Right.
And so we had to have that. I had to be vulnerable in me telling you, opening myself up to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I had to have humility, the way that I say it to you. And I had to be mature in my approach,
and,
because
and be vulnerable.
I said vulnerable.
Did you say vulnerable? Okay, I wasn't listening.
Obviously not. No, but we miss out on a lot of that, because if all I'm doing is telling you how I feel, just to place the blame, and all you're going to do is become defensive, and we're not ever going to solve any type of issues or get past anything.
No, you're
We
right.
can't get to a point where we're able to compromise for the good and say, okay, this is.
But see, you said humility, maturity, vulnerability, right?
Mhm.
But I think what stops us from doing any of those three things, And I know that for me in that moment, at that time in my life, it was pride.
I was about to say, I think pride is the big thing.
And it's funny, when we talk about pride, there's a positive side of pride where you say you need to have pride in the work that you do, be proud of who you are, be proud of your heritage, be proud. But then there's also a sense of false pride when, and here's the difference between, you know, pride is what makes you think, I should say false pride is what makes you think about being right or having a desire to always be right in a discussion, argument, in a point or whatever. But then humility, because you were talking about humility makes you think about doing what's right.
Mm-hmm.
Pride is about being right. Humility is about doing what's right. And I think that at some point during our journey, what we ended up doing was we both went from being prideful and trying to be right in what we were saying, stating, and we started to do what was right. Because pride was about us as individuals. This is how you made me feel. This is what I want. I don't care how you feel. This is it. This is all about me. Versus when we became more humble and experienced humility, then it was like, you know what? I want what's right for our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a major part. And I mean, this sounds deep and all that, but it really isn't. It's really not that deep. It's one of those things where are you putting yourself first or are you putting a relationship first? And don't think that by putting your relationship first that you're sacrificing self, because what you're really truly doing is by putting your relationship first, the two of you in a marriage, you're actually building yourself up as an
I was
individual.
about to say, I feel like you're in, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like you're developing another identity together.
I think you're strengthening your identity.
You still have your because we're individuals. I am still me, you are still you, but then we are us also. So instead of two horns, it's three. That's how I call it.
Why's it gotta be horns?
I don't know.
Well, no, but I think you're right. I think there's a strengthening that goes along with that because I feel stronger as an. I don't know. It's funny. It's like the stronger we became in a relationship, the more confidence I gained
Mhm.
as a person.
Right. Me too.
And so don't think that you're going to lose yourself in your relationship. Now, if you are, then that's a whole other topic where you feel like you start losing your own identity. Because I know several people that never really formed their personal identity because they're always being something to someone else. But that wasn't about the relationship. That was about fulfilling a role.
Mm.
There is a difference. And what we were stopped trying to do was basically fulfill a role. Look, you need to be my husband, so therefore you need to do A, B, and C, D, and E, and you didn't stand up for me, and this is how you made me feel. When you're constantly turning the spotlight back on you as an individual versus putting the spotlight on the middle of the room, and then you both step into the spotlight together,
I like that.
that's when you know that the relationship's going in the right direction.
Hmm. I like that.
But a big part of that is you got to release pride.
Hmm. I totally like that.
You totally like
I
that?
totally. I said
Totally.
totally.
No, but it's releasing that pride. It's ripping the band-aid off. And I also think that let's throw a little COVID into that. We're not going to go back into ours, but even right now, if you're
Oh,
thinking,
but let me
go ahead.
just say this too, and I, just be willing to forgive.
Mm,
You have to be willing to forgive. I know we say, "Oh, there's certain people I'll forgive you, but I won't forget." I always have a kind of a problem with that. I mean, don't forget the lessons that you learn, but forget about the negative part of it. You have to forgive and be able to move forward. If you don't have room, if you don't forgive, it's like you're still closed off, and you have to be open to be able to move forward.
it's funny. If any of y'all out there saying like, don't they keep talking about forgiveness?
It's
Yes,
key.
it's crucial.
Because you know what is so funny? People do not realize how unforgiving they are until you put it in their face. I mean, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And then something else will come up and you're right back where you didn't forgive them. What are you talking about? I forgive him for that. Oh, but no, as soon as he makes you mad again, or as soon as she makes you
Right.
mad again, I had this. talked to my brother. I was like, dude, I thought you said you forgave her. Oh, sis, I did, but you know what? I'm like,
Nah, you didn't
don't,
forgive.
you didn't
You know,
forgive.
we were talking about this just yesterday, and looking at the house. Remember the Love House?
Mm,
And two pillars. So I know we reference John Gottman, John and Julie Gottman quite a bit in the Gottman Institute because we utilize a lot of the teachings from there. We're doing level 1, level 2 training when it comes to the couples therapy that they offer, some of the training. But anyway, two pillars for a home that's being built, so to speak. And we'll go into this much more detail down the road, but it's trust and commitment.
mhm.
A big part of forgiveness is trust in the other individual, but also commitment, right? So the trust is going to be, when it comes to forgiveness, at least, it's almost like that's the that should be like another pillar, or at least a beam, a support beam or something in that house, because we all make mistakes. We're all going to make, dumb mistakes. And there's going to be a level of forgiveness that's needed almost on a daily basis.
Daily.
Oh, I forgive you for eating the last whatever. Forgive you for constantly farting under the covers.
I don't ever forgive that.
You think she's talking about me, but we're really talking about her.
Ever.
No, but it's just, but there's different things, right? So, but that forgiveness that we all seek, that we all need, has to come from a place of trust. You can't forgive someone that you don't trust, because you have to trust that, yes, they're going to make mistakes, but I trust that they're going to get better over time. But you also have to have that commitment, that other pillar, committed to moving forward, moving beyond whatever the transgression was. Because in all actuality, the expectation that we have is that when I make a mistake, I expect you to forgive me so we can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be a two-way street when it comes to that trust.
Reciprocity.
So there's that trust, that commitment, but forgiveness is constantly going to come up in our podcasts and our talking, in our workshops, when we speak, all those things, because it's a major part.
Yeah.
You look over your shoulder like you
No.
saw a ghost.
I heard something. I was like, what the heck?
That's just the air, girl.
Okay.
No, but I was going to say that if we want to look at right now during the pandemic, things look like we're starting to turn the corner a little bit. That things are getting a little bit better. We have vaccines coming out, all that, but you still, like, there might still be both of you in the same house. There might still be like one person at home or working from home, and the other person's, going in. This whole thing has created a major disconnect for a lot of families, and that disconnect and coming back together to rebuild those bridges to one another, I think has a lot to do with what we were talking about too, about having a level of, what did you say, maturity,
Vulnerability.
and humility. Okay, so humility, vulnerability, and maturity. There has to be some of that as well in our homes, even though you might not be going through crazy times as far as, infidelity, finances, all those things that we talked about before, but there might be a slight disconnect where something's just off and you don't know what it is. I saw something the other day and it made me think that even in the little things at home that can throw it off, because it doesn't take a whole lot. In your car, the timing can be off just slightly and it doesn't run just right. The voltage can be off, 1 volt, and it doesn't run just right. So the slightest thing can set off your relationship. And I recommend that you have a space that is dedicated just to family. Because if somebody's working at home, they might have a laptop and working from home. Don't work in those common areas where you're going to spend time with your spouse. I just wanted to throw this in there, because if you're in the living room and that's where you go and you hang out and you watch a Netflix show, you sit and you talk, or it's at the kitchen table, or it's in your bedroom. Don't use your bedroom. Don't use the common area or whatever. Try and use an office. Pick a spot, some place that you're not going to be together, to do that work. Because when it comes time to reconnect, whether it be in the bedroom, you're sitting there having that pillow talk, like we were discussing in the last podcast, or in the kitchen having family time, or in the living room where that's where you like to relax. When you spend your 6, 7, 8 hours of the day doing the job from home in that same space, you're not going to be able to fully disconnect from the job, and you won't be able to be free and open to the relationship that you're trying to build. Does that make sense? Because what ends up happening is there's always going to be something. Because if I'm sitting in the living room and I've been doing work for 7-8 hours on the podcast on the laptop and doing some work and answering calls and putting in calls that and the other, and I'm sitting on the couch.
And then here I come.
And here
I
you
wanna
come. I put
leave.
everything away. I'll go put it in the office or in another room or whatever. And we're sitting there talking. There might be a certain way I sat in the couch that reminds me, like, oh, there's still something else I need to take care of. I still got some other things. There's going to be like this I don't know what you want to call it, like a reverberation, like a vibe that can creep back in. So instead of being totally committed to you in that moment, my mind could just slip back into work mode.
Or you could be, I've been in this spot all day and I want to come in and I want to sit and let's watch TV together. But because you've been sitting there, now you're like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to be here.
I want to move and go in the office or something that's not conducive to
Right.
us being together. So, okay, I get that.
So then I'm just saying that there's just one more thing to add in. And I just threw that in because of what a lot of families are going through right now. Don't let that be a barrier, so create a plan. So if I had to give you some action items to walk away with, this, what?
I was on Lovey loves his action items.
Well, we want to entertain, but we want to talk, but we also want you guys to be able to take away some practical things that you can apply to your relationship, or at least stick it in your toolbox if you ever need some of these things. And the number one thing is I won't say the number one. The first thing is to rip the Band-Aid off. Have that conversation, but in a neutral area, in some place where you feel safe and you feel like you're in a position where you can have that conversation. Rip the Band-Aid off. Don't think, well, if I say this, then it's going to blow up to this big old thing or what have you. It might in the moment. But to sit there and create a false pretense or a fake reality, it's going to create bigger problems down the road. It's just going to snowball and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So rip the Band-Aid off, take the momentary pain of having that discussion, being uncomfortable, so that way you can create truth right there in the moment and speak to what really needs to be spoken to.
Okay.
So it's ripping the Band-Aid off. It's reducing pride. And I say reducing, not getting rid of, because I think a lot of times we're human beings. Pride is always going to creep up in some way, shape, or form. But when you start to reduce it and you start to be aware of it, then you're able to manage it. So reduce pride. Take that, like that focus, that spotlight I was talking about. Take a moment to think, am I putting the spotlight on me or am I putting the spotlight on our relationship?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a spotlight moment, right? Let's call it that. Spotlight on me, bad. Spotlight on the relationship, so we can both step into the spotlight, that's good. And if you feel like something's happening, just ask yourself, where's the spotlight? Is it on me or is it on the relationship? If it's not on the relationship, then I ask you just to pause for a moment and ask, why is it not on the relationship?
Right. Backtrack, maybe.
Yep, exactly. I think the last thing I would say is, based on what we've talked about today, is to, I think I just broke my, time for new equipment.
He did that on purpose.
So it's gonna fall.
Because mine is just fine. No.
The boom for my microphone just broke. Anyway, I was gonna say the last thing is to really think about what you were talking about, the three things. Really assess yourself when it comes to, do I have humility, maturity, and vulnerability in our relationship? Am I moving forward with these three things in mind to make sure that I'm advancing our relationship? And then, of course, I won't say the last thing. And then the last thing would be forgiveness. Constantly working on forgiveness and recognize it's a part of our daily walk and not something that comes up, just for the big things.
That's right. You have to forgive every day. I had to forgive Lovey this morning.
Why?
The American Express card. So Lovey comes booming downstairs. Rana, the American Express card. We have all this interest, blah, 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 whatever.
Oh.
And I was like, what?
It was on my mind.
It was literally like 5:10 in the morning. I'm trying to get my tea and I'm trying to leave. And he's going on and on and on because you said that you were gonna pay it, and I was like, okay. So what we said was I'd use the American Express card because I have to get gas, and we get points. So I'll use the American Express card to get the gas, and then I'll pay the the amount back, right? So in my mind, I will pay it when the bill comes. Lovey's like, no, pay it now. So we had a miscommunication, but it was kind of funny because I know how I felt. I don't know how exactly I was looking, but I was like, is bruh crazy right now? It
Nope.
is 5:10 in the morning.
That was not her look.
And
Her
you're
look was all
trying to
about
have a conversation with me. I was like, okay, well, that because we're not doing what we said we are gonna do, and I was like, okay. I said, go back to bed. Just go to
her look
sleep.
was not bruh. Her look was like Negro. It's exactly what her look was like.
Whatever.
But no, my bad. It was
I
don't know why it was like I woke up.
So funny.
Mind you, this happened after we prayed. We did pray first. We always pray first.
I thought we were good. And he's coming downstairs to give me another kiss goodbye.
Nope.
I was like, okay.
And handle them finances.
It was just so fun. I just looked at it, I was like, okay.
Do you forgive me?
I did. I laughed on my way to work. I said, this man, he must need some more sleep.
Yeah, well.
So that was my daily forgiveness for you.
Daily forgiveness. What did I forgive you for today? I forgive you
forgave me
for putting my business out in the streets in 36 countries about how I was very anal about our finances at 5:10 in the morning. Yeah, I forgive you. But I won't forget. Hey, we thank each and every one of you for being out there and listening to us. And I hope you actually gained something from this conversation. So if you did, make sure you go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if those are the venues in which you're listening, and leave a review. And don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe to the Married Into Crazy channel. So that way you can actually see it, not just hear it. So like we always do, it's 2 for the road. We're going to pull from the I Can. And it's our affirmations.
Mine says, I can make a homemade card just because.
And mine says, I can do the laundry. She also put underneath there, but she won't let me.
Absolutely not. So I'll do the laundry. You make a homemade card.
I can do that. I will make a homemade card.
Okay. I will do the laundry.
Fantastic. So at this juncture, what we want to do is actually remind everyone to go to marriedintocrazy.com, register for the workshop. It is absolutely free. Register for the workshop, and we look forward to seeing you on January 30th. It goes from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we do look forward to seeing some new faces in there. There's quite a few registrants already, but we are looking forward to, it's actually international yet again. So I do like that. The next 8 minutes and 46 seconds is going to be silent. This is an opportunity for you to reflect on how you can be a better citizen as we continue to move forward with our growth as human beings. There's 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence. You can do what you like, but we think it's a great time to reflect on how you can be a better person, how you can contribute to your relationship as well as your neighborhood, to your community in whatever way. So with that said, until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.